Hey, the Spurs beat the Jazz, but it is a tale of two halves. This team, well, they were power in the second half.
You are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome back to Locked On Spurs, right here in the Locked On NBA Network. I'm your host, Jeff Garcia, Spurs writer for Ken's 5 San Antonio. Glad to have y'all back. Subscribe wherever you get your favorite podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, Ken's 5 Plus app. You know what to do. Subscribe to it right now. And subscribe to the Locked On Spurs newsletter. Link is in the description below. Make sure you do that right now. Today's episode is brought to you by Robinhood. Robinhood Gold provides the privileges of a high net worth for any net worth. These generous benefits are now available for only $5 a month. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. Sign up at robinhoodgold.com/gold. So make sure you do that again. One more time, that's robinhood.com/gold. Go there right now. What are we talking about today? We're going to be looking back at last night's game, Spurs Jazz, and there's been a kind of a reoccurring theme of late. These guys, they're second half powerhouses. The numbers don't lie. The eye tests don't lie. We're going to be diving into that. What went right for the Spurs against the Jazz? 4 games in a row, W's, loving that. And then quickly preview tonight's game, Spurs-Laker, later on this episode of Locked On Spurs. But yeah, before we bring in our guest, yes, and it's like we're seeing the Spurs grow up before our eyes. It's like those child actors that you see when you're growing up. For me, it's for you guys lately, it's probably the Harry Potter guy, seeing him as a kid, then growing into an adult. We're seeing that process right now with the Spurs. We're seeing their maturity kick in. We're seeing what happens when veteran presence is on the court. You're seeing them understand the game better, playing for one another, and the results, well, they're there. 4-game winning streak. Look, they took care of business versus Utah. They took care of business against the Warriors. I was surprised about that. They took care of business at home. They're winning games. They're keeping teams honest in that second half. No, dare I say, no deficit is insurmountable for this team. They're definitely showing like they can handle being down at the half, going into the fourth, or just holding on to leads. This is signs of maturity. And guess what? The second half play overall for the Spurs is what's standing out. So we're going to be focusing on that. The second half kids, or should I say young adults, I think have they matured to that point yet? And then, to see what the numbers show and so much more. Let's go bring in our guest. He is back, everybody. We go to him every time there is a post-game road game. Raul Dominguez, he's back to help us sum up the game versus Utah. The Spurs got the win. We'll go into the details in just a few minutes. Raul, just a quick heads up. The pop of Ronin you gave me is safely secured. It's in a vault, and nobody's going to touch it unless I allow it. Thank you for that pop of the Ronin.
Build a little shrine for it. So
build a little shrine for it. Yeah, no spoilers, everybody, but I think everybody knows who the real Ronin is. He is with the AP in San Antonio. Make sure to follow him on X at Dominguez5. You see it on your screen right now. Raul, as I said in the intro, you're seeing these young Spurs grow up before our eyes. You're seeing that on the court. Last year, if they were down at the half or even tied at the half, and we saw last night versus Utah, forget about it. It's all she wrote. Likely get a L. This year, they're flipping the script. They're getting W's, and it's all starting in that second half. Before we get into some numbers, what are you seeing from this Spurs team in second halves this season, and especially last night versus Utah?
They're just seem like they're bearing down just defensively. I'll get into some numbers later, but I think the big thing is it isn't quite to that level yet, but it reminds me a little bit of the championship Spurs. For some reason, those championship teams, the teams that were contending for championships. I don't know if you remember, but the first half they played bad. And then would say, "Oh, Pop's going to go yell at them," and then they come out in the second half and they just kill teams in the third, especially third quarter. But in the second half, they seem like they're doing that again. Obviously not to that level, but it seems like they're making nice adjustments at halftime, and whatever they're telling them, they're locked in on their defensive assignments. They're more aggressive defensively. And they're more active. They're not taking plays off and, just sort of, I miss a shot and then I go on defense, kind of get lost. Like, no, as soon as if they miss a shot, they make a shot, they're right on the player they're supposed to be defending.
Yeah. And you look at last night versus Utah, they were at the half tied at I believe 66 apiece, and kind of back and forth. Jazz had the lead at one moment in the first half. It looked kind of like it was going to be one of those nights with the Spurs where they go against Utah team on paper they should beat and lose, but that was not the case. What I like in the second half, Raul, is how they're playing for one another, how they're diving on the floor. You saw Mamu just trying his best to get loose balls. You saw Wesley just attacking that rim, getting the fouls. You're seeing them be smart, getting rebounds, second chance opportunities. You're seeing a lot. And again, a sign of maturity. Julian Champagnie said after the game, two things why they're playing better this year: maturity and two vets. How big have Paul and Barnes been for the Spurs team in that second half?
They're been really big, especially at crunch time. I remember seeing times last year when there was a close game and it seemed like offensively they weren't sure exactly what to do. Someone would get the ball and just sort of kind of try and dribble in, or, almost like isolation plays where they would try and do it all themselves. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately they would, they wind up with a turnover or a bad shot. This time they're taking their time, and it's not just one guy. It's like they're looking around, mm-hmm. Almost to the beautiful game style where they're looking for the next. They're trying to go from good to great on their shots. They haven't quite mm-hmm. gotten to the level of the championship teams, but they're looking for a better shot. Even if they have an open shot, they're looking for the better shot, and that's all Chris Paul. Just the way that he's calm on the court. Yeah. And he's calming them down. Let's not, have somebody rush in and try and, win the game by themselves. Let's look around. Let's see which one of our teammates can get the better shot. So,
yeah, absolutely.
And Chris has done a great job as far as implementing that. And Harrison has done a great job, as far as executing it, mm-hmm. because he's taking some good shots. He's making those shots, and he's also, passing the ball. But Harrison's done a great job, sort of helping them close games out.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, yeah. Or should we say Western Conference Player of the Week, Harrison mm-hmm. Barnes. So kudos to him. But no, for me, just what the eye test tells me is, again, the maturity, the experience, the familiarity with one another. For the most part, it's almost the same team from last year. Wemby, Sohan, obviously I know he's hurt, but, Sohan, Vassell, Champagnie, Blake Wesley, Malachi, the list goes on, Mamu, Bassi, et cetera, et cetera. But you're seeing them play in the second half, and they're not getting rattled. I really thought they would get rattled against the Warriors at home. That's the top team in the West at that time. This is a Warriors team that's, as far as their timeline is concerned, far ahead of the Spurs. But they were not bothered by the big lights. They were not starstruck. Remember last season, we would hear Popovich talk about that, like, oh, it looked like maybe they're giving too much respect to the opposition. This time they're not. They're playing aggressive defensively, and they're getting the job done. And I really believe the defensive end is where it starts. Champagnie, again, after the game versus Utah, did say they hang their hats on the defensive end. Sure, it helps. You got Wemby behind you, and Julian made a joke about that. But, hey, that goes into it. And it's not just Champagnie. It's Bassi, who's been playing great, blocking shots. Castle, we're not talking about him, locking down Steph Curry. And last night versus Utah, pouring 20-plus points. I believe he tied a career high in that category. So you're getting contributions from everybody, and everybody is coming together. And, oh, man, I just like they're playing with a little bit of a chip on their shoulder, just a little bit of a little nastiness in them. Mm-hmm. I like it. Look, I know it's not cool, but I mean, Bassi, he didn't appreciate one of the Utah Jazz players on him. He kind of shoved him, gave him a hard shove. I like seeing that out of this team. Are you going to be hanging your hat on this, Raul? Is it just simply maturity? Is it the veterans? Or, is Mitch Johnson, are we forgetting about him? What about Mitch Johnson? What has he been doing to keep this team afloat while Popovich is out?
Well, the thing is, it's Mitch Johnson, but it's also a continuance of what Pop has been preaching, because I got this from Dan Weiss, the great broadcaster from FanDuel Sports. Dan Weiss had that the Spurs have won 14 of 18 third quarters this season. So,
Nice.
this happened, while Pop was there as well. Mitch has just continued that. And then says, they're plus 73 for the season in third quarters, which is fourth best in the NBA. And this is,
Nice.
still, you take out Chris Paul and Harrison Barnes. This is a really young team.
Before we do that, I want to talk to you about Robinhood. With Robinhood Gold, you don't need a silver spoon to eat up the financial favors of the 1%. Robinhood Gold allows others to get rates that perks usually reserved for the high society. Now, the resourceful individual with Robinhood Gold can earn the very liberal rate of 4.25% APY on uninvested cash and be rewarded with a handsome 3% retirement boost on IRA account contributions. Robinhood Gold provides the privileges of a high net worth for any net worth. These generous benefits are now available for only $5 a month. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. Sign up at robinhoodgold.com/gold. Terms apply. For product-specific disclosures, visit robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. Rates may change. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold LLC. Hey, I want to talk to you about FanDuel. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need and the place where to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So you get a hunch in the middle of a game. You can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bet. Just visit FanDuel.com right now to join today. By the way, the app is very easy to use, user-friendly. It's very intuitive and not hard to navigate whatsoever. Sign up is easy. Hey, look, NFL action, as mentioned, is underway. NBA action is underway. Your Spurs are underway right now. What more do you need? Go to FanDuel.com right now to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets. Again, $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. All that takes is just for you to go and sign up right now. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. We're back right here on Locked On Spurs with Raul Dominguez. He is the AP sports writer based here in San Antonio. Follow him on X at Dominguez Cinco. For those who don't understand Spanish, that's his last name and then the number 5. Now, did you have a premonition years ago? You picked Cinco for Steph Castle? Was that true?
I did. I was Area 51.
You were. See, Raul was way ahead of the game. You see, that's how good he is. That's why we bring him here on Locked On Spurs. And we're talking about your Spurs, or should we say the second half Spurs. Seriously, this team is playing great in the second half. Now, I did say before the break we're going to look at some numbers, but I also did say I have one concern, and I'm going to bring it up to Raul. So here's my concern, Raul. Don't get me wrong. I love the Spurs that they can dig themselves out of the deficit. I love that this year's Spurs can hold on to leads and, not relinquish it. I mean, heck, they're undefeated at the Frost Bank Center when they're heading into the final frame, and if they're up on the scoreboard. Yay, Spurs, keep on doing that. But my concern, Raul, is I don't like to get themselves in that situation to begin with. Why do they have to be down? Why can't they show dominance from the beginning to end? Does that bother you?
It's just part of the maturing. I think part of it is Wemby still trying to figure out the league. I think Steph's still trying to figure. Obviously, Stephen Castle's trying to figure out the league. I think that's part of it. I think they're kind of trying to make adjustments, and once they go in at halftime, I think they're able better to see it, and coaches are able to tell them, and so they're able to kind of focus more. But yeah, it probably is a little bit of inexperience on their part where they're, thinking, okay, well, we still have 3 more quarters left. We still have 4 more quarters left, to where they're sort of, not fully focused on from the start. So they definitely need to get better starts. If they get better starts, and they should have easier wins. But
I mean, hey, look, I'm not trying to complain too much. I think I would like to see a complete game. Sure, it's fun. You're at the Frost and you're seeing the team rally as we all saw versus the Warriors, or rally against Utah when they were in San Antonio. But you would figure like eventually that's gonna be taxing on them. Like that energy, and they're young. Yes, they can probably handle it, but eventually I think it'll catch up with them. So why not play with that type of spirit to start the game? All right. So we talked about numbers. All right. So let's look at last night's game. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say just real quick, Pop always preaches that 48 minutes. So.
Yeah, exactly. 48 minutes. And so far, we've been getting about, what do you think, about 25, 28 minutes to 30? Yeah, around there. May not cut it. All right, let's look at some second half numbers. Now, first of all, kudos to the Spurs offense. We might bring that up in a few minutes. They scored 30 or more points in every single quarter versus the Jazz. More on that in just a few minutes. But again, they were tied at 66 at the half versus Utah. And again, we're just using Utah as a sample to show exactly how good this team is coming into off the halftime. All right, they were pretty close to Utah as far as shooting is concerned. Utah was at 54, Spurs were at 53. They were getting to the free throw line. They got there 7 times. Jazz got there 10 times. All right, kind of even already. But then you start seeing the 3-point defense, or just the 3-point shots made, I should say. 36% for the Spurs, Jazz 45. So you're seeing them not really defend that 3 line. Again, you look, they were getting out rebounded by Utah, 19-12 on the defensive side of things. They were getting out rebounded by Utah on the offensive rebound, 7-2. So you're seeing a bunch of that. All right. So yay, we get what's going on there. Right. They're even getting outworked on the bench roll, 24-16. So their second unit really wasn't shining. But let's fast forward to the second half now. And it is just like they flipped the switch. First of all, they held Utah to 22 points in the final frame, outscored them by 10. They outscored the Jazz 62-49 in the second half, out-rebounded Utah 25-15. They connected on their shots, so they made 43%. They were getting to the free throw line. This is what I like. They were aggressive. They went to the free throw line 19 times, Jazz 10 times. So there you have it. And you're just seeing this team just really take off. Out-rebounded them on the defensive end, 14-12. Second chance opportunities, offensive rebounds, 11-3. You see where we're going here, right? Minimal turnovers, 5 turnovers in the second half. That's it. And the second unit stepped up, 18-5 versus Utah's second unit in the second half. So again, that's just a sample of how the Spurs are getting it done in the second half. Mitch Johnson, I want to bring this up to you, Raul, said after the game versus Utah yesterday that he's starting to think and see that the second unit is becoming a weapon for the Spurs. Agree or disagree?
They're building toward that. I still don't think they are. I still think they still got a little ways to go. I think the injuries obviously have an impact on that. Once Jeremy and Devin get back, I think you'll probably see, Julian go back to the bench. That'll be a big weapon for them. Perhaps. I don't see how they're going to take Castle out of the starting lineup, but we shall see. But I think the injuries have an impact on the second unit. But they're building something. They're getting good chemistry. They're realizing that they don't have that. The Vinnie Johnson. They don't have that guy that comes off the bench and just starts lighting up, or even Patty Mills. So they have to do it collectively. I think they're starting to realize that. And I think they're also starting to realize that second unit needs to be a defensive unit and get the offense off of the defense. Because you look at, what Blake Wesley has done, Charles Bassey has done. So it seems like they're really feeding off their defense, especially in that second unit.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, again, these numbers have not been updated because of the game last night, but just to give you kind of just an overall view of all their games up to this point of the season. And Raul, brace yourself. You might throw it into one of your articles. I mean, seriously, you're going to be like, wow, they're doing this. Now, these numbers are via Pivot Fade. By the way, a great stat site. Everybody should go to pivotfade.com. So overall, Raul, I'm not going to bog everybody down with a lot of numbers here, but it's just to drive home the point. In the first half of the season of games, they have an offensive rating which ranks in the 27th percentile and a defensive rating that ranks in the 22nd percentile of the NBA. That's good for a net rating of minus 8.6. Again, near the bottom of the barrel in the NBA, the 27th percentile. Bad, 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 bad. All right. Now let's fast forward to the second half. Now, overall, up until the Jazz game, second half numbers are incredible. They rank in the 4th percentile of the NBA in defensive rating at 108. 108 in today's standards, NBA, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Offensive rating, guess what? It leaps up to the 8th percentile. They have an offensive rating of 118.6. Good for a net rating. They're beating teams on average about 10.7 points in that second half. Staggering, just staggering. Raul, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's I'm sure that they wish that they could bottle that and carry that over in the first half. It's a sign of kind of an inexperienced team as far as not doing well in the first half and then coming in the second half. But the big thing, though, is it's also a sign of them maturing to where they realize, hey, we got to lock in. We've got to do better in the second half. We've got a chance to win this game. We can't blow this. It seemed like last season, I'm trying to remember correctly, last season it seemed like they'd have good starts and then they'd blow it, in the final 2 quarters, especially the fourth quarter in the final minutes. This year it seems like they're embracing that to where, if they have a lead or they're close, they're charging after that team. Like, they want to take that win away from a different, from the team, or, they want to hold on to their victory. So, it's signs of a young team, but also a sign of a young team that's really starting to believe in itself.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, I don't want to bog everybody down too much numbers, but if anything, I just want to bring this up to Raul's attention. And I'm pretty sure those of y'all who love stats, you're going to like this. So the numbers I gave a little while ago were just an overall view of all their games. Now, we just take a sample size of their last 5 games and then specifically focus on the second half numbers. Check this out, Raul. In the last 5 second halves for the Spurs, they have a defensive rating of 99.6. Good for the 2nd percentile in the NBA. And they're up there with the best of the best. Offensive rating, it leaps to 119.9. That's good for the 10th percentile of the NBA. And they are first in the NBA when it comes to net rating. 20.3. They're outscoring teams 20.3 net rating in the second half in the last 5 games. So keep that in mind. So again, that dominance that we're seeing, and we saw that under a big microscope yesterday versus Utah. And then you look back, you saw that versus the Warriors. So this team is rolling. Which I'm going to leave you with this question, though, Raul, before we go to the break here, though. So we're seeing how they've been playing of recent. Should we pump the brakes or not? Is it still too soon to say, you know what, this team may go above beyond the win total projection of 36, 35. This team possibly could be in the play-in tournament. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I definitely think that the chances of them getting in the play-in tournament are great right now. Because they're doing this well. And, you think about it, Wemby's missed games, Devin's missed games. Devin's missed a lot of games. Unfortunately, hopefully he should be back soon.
Yeah, I think he's coming back tonight versus the Lakers.
Yeah.
So
Jeremy's been out. Trey was out for a while. Keldon was out for a little bit. So they're doing this despite not being 100% fully healthy and not being able to get their rotations down, not being able to, there's a lot to say, for being on the court with someone for, consistent minutes, and you kind of know what they like, where they're at. Right now it's they're having to kind of plug in different people, but the good thing is that they're making it work.
Yeah.
Once they get those other pieces back, once they're fully healthy, that's going to strengthen the second unit even more, and it's going to especially help defensively when they get Jeremy back, because Jeremy, they're giving up a lot of threes right now, and I think that has to do with Wemby's either going to go out and defend a 3, or he's going to go in the interior, and in either one, the other one's going to be lacking. Jeremy can do that as well, where he can guard the wing and he can guard the inside. Yeah. So once he comes back, Wemby's going to be able to go either way without any fear of an open shot for a 3, or someone going in for a dunk, or uncontested layup.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I got to say right now, I like what I see. 4-game winning streak. They got the Lakers tonight. We'll see if they can extend it. Hey, we're not done talking. We're going to be talking about tonight's game, Spurs Lakers, second game of back-to-back. But before we do that, what do you think about the Spurs in the second half so far? Is it eye-opening? Are you just floored? Or do the numbers just make your eyes just bulge out? Let us know what you think. You can let Raul know on X at Dominguez5. You see it on your screen right now. Let me know on X at Jeff G Spurs Zone. When we get back, we're going to be talking about tonight's game, Spurs Lakers. What are some keys for the Spurs to possibly extend it to a 5-game winning streak? It's been a long time since Raul and I have said that. A 5-game winning streak possibly for your Spurs. But first, I want to talk to you about Built. Hey, there's a PSA for anyone who rents. If you haven't heard of Built, you're about to thank me. Earning points on rent is now a reality when you pay your rent through Built. You don't even have to check with your landlord to start earning points that you can use towards flights, hotel stays, fitness classes, even your next rent payment. Let me break it down for you. Basically, there's no cost to join Built, and as a member, you'll earn valuable points on rent and your everyday spending. Built points can be transferred to your favorite hotels, airlines, even the ones you haven't heard of. There are over 500 airlines and 700,000 hotels and properties around the world you can redeem your Built points towards. Points can be also redeemed towards a future rent payment, unique experiences that only Built members can access. So if you're not earning points on rent, my question is, why not? Start earning points on rent you're already paying by going to Built or joinbuilt.com/LockedOnNBA. That's joinbuilt.com/LockedOnNBA. joinbuilt.com/LockedOnNBA. Make sure to use our URL so they know that we sent you. Joinbuilt.com/LockedOnNBA to start earning points on your rent payments today. Hey, I want to talk to you about Mudslingers Drive-Thru Coffee. Go there right now, San Antonio, 2404 Thousand Oaks Drive, open every single day from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. They have it all. Great menu, cold drinks, hot drinks, coffee, the signature drink, Mudslinger, iced lattes. Pick something you're craving, they'll have it. Check out the menu. We're a proud local sponsor of Locked On Spurs and a proud community member, serving San Antonio the best coffee in the city. Go there right now, open every single day from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. They have the Lightning Bolt series, which includes the Alien, which is a drink made in honor of Victor Wembanyama. Got to try it. Speaking of which, hey, they have these drinks, like I was mentioned right now, the Lightning Bolt series. They're going to be containing Lotus Energy. That's 7 power plant extracts. That gives them flexibility to create new drinks. But if you want Red Bull, you just tell them and they'll put it in there. But the default will be Lotus Energy. Go there right now, 2404 Thousand Oaks Drive. They even got mini donuts. Best spot in the city to get yourself some coffee. Go there right now, San Antonio. Follow them on social media at Mudslinger SATX. Go there right now because life is too short for bland coffee. We're back right here on Locked On Spurs with Raul Dominguez. He's with the AP Sports. Follow him on X at Dominguez5. Make sure you do that right now. If not, then he's going to become the Ronin. And you don't want the Ronin to visit you. Trust me, you do not want the Ronin to visit you if you're not following Raul. So do that right now. Hey, Raul, the Spurs and Lakers, they get things going tonight. Second game of a back-to-back for the Spurs. Obviously, the Spurs are coming in with a 10-8 record. The Spurs are 0-1 versus Los Angeles this season. And the last time the Spurs played them, it was just pretty much the Lake Show, literally in San Antonio. Mm-hmm. Devin Vassell is going to be coming back. I think all signs are pointing to that, so that'd be good for him to get going against pretty stiff competition here. How are you feeling tonight's game? Do you see a 5-game winning streak at the end of the night, or you think Lakers may really test this Spurs team right now?
That's a tough game to predict. Lakers are just Lakers have 2 of the best mm-hmm. players ever, and arguably the greatest ever. But those 2 guys are just tremendous.
Davis and LeBron,
yeah. I'm sorry, and LeBron's just a great closer. I mean, if there's a chance of them winning, LeBron's going to do whatever he can to win the game. That's what he did for USA against France. So it's tough to say. I want to say that I think the Spurs win. I think playing the Lakers so close that last game, I think it gave them a big confidence boost. Mm-hmm. I think that was sort of a test for them. I think they were trying to figure out, because at that point, they still were kind of bouncing back and
Yeah.
forth. I think that game sort of, even though they lost, I think that game sort of helped push their confidence. You saw Castle do well.
Mm-hmm.
LeBron talked to him afterwards and talked about what a great player he is. How he's going to be a star. That obviously had to, I don't think Castle needs his confidence boost. I think he's such so confident in himself, but that had to have helped him.
Oh, for sure.
And then, you see, Wemby, the way he's been playing. I think that game helped trigger kind of the little run that they are on now, because they saw, hey, we can compete against the best. And I'm sure they're kicking themselves afterwards. I'm sure they thought, dang, we should have won that game.
Oh, yeah.
So, I think it's going to be a little bit of payback. Wemby's extremely competitive. Wemby doesn't forget stuff. There was times last season when somebody would dunk on him, and then first chance he got, he would dunk on him, and then he'd flex on that guy. I think he remembers that the loss to the Lakers. I think Castle remembers that loss. I think they're going to come up fired up. I wouldn't, we're talking about great second halves and kind of so-so first halves. So I think they're going to come out and they're going to have a great start. Whether or not they can sustain it, I don't know. But I think they're definitely going to have a great start, because they're going to be fired up. But again, whether or not they can sustain it, because it is the second night of a back-to-back.
Yeah, that's key right there.
But I think this team hates to lose. This team hates to be shown up. This team hates. Again, Wemby loves to get back at people. So
he definitely does.
So I my own personal opinion, I think that they can beat the Lakers.
Yeah, exactly. Now the good news is the Lakers are also coming off the second game of a back-to-back. They got to travel just like the Spurs did, so that's kind of a wash right there. So we'll see which team has enough gas in their tank to finish the end. The younger team usually does, so that bodes well for the Spurs. Now, the history is not on the Spurs side, though. The Lakers have beaten the Spurs in 2 straight games heading into tonight's contest. But this season, the Spurs are 2-1 on the second game of a back-to-back, so that bodes well for the Spurs, and they're playing at home as well. Keep an eye on the scoreboard, everybody. At home, they're undefeated after the third period if they're up on the opposition, so that bodes well for the Spurs. And you mentioned Wemby. I looked up some of his numbers. So in 4 games against the Lakers in his career, I know small sample size, but nevertheless, 24.5 points per game, 13-point rebounds, 5 assists. That's what he does in 4 games in his young career versus the Lakers. So you're absolutely right, Raul. He loves playing up against some of the stars, playing up against those big names, really showing out. So the numbers there prove it. And for those of y'all who are wondering, what does LeBron James average in his entire career versus the Spurs? 27.6 points per game, 7.8 assists, 7.7 rebounds in 44 career games versus the Spurs. So he loves playing against San Antonio, doesn't he, Raul?
Well, I hate to bring up this name because I know Spurs fans don't like it, but he plays great against the Spurs unless Kawhi was on him. When Kawhi was on him, Kawhi kind of held him in check in the 2014 finals. But again, I know that's not a name that Spurs fans like to hear is, Kawhi.
Yeah. Well, see, there you have it now. See, now Spurs fans are going to be upset now. We ripping their TV off right now. You brought up his name. Don't bring up that snake's name ever again. But there you have it. Spurs, Lakers tonight. Hopefully the Spurs can extend their win streak to 5 heading into the Thanksgiving break. And hopefully the Frost can be rocking tonight. I know I'll be there. Raul will be there. And we'll bring you all the coverage from that game tonight. Just follow Raul on X at Dominguez5 and me. You see it on your screen at Jeff G Spurs Zone. Hey, before I let you go, though, Raul, favorite Thanksgiving dish that you got to have? It's got to be in your plate.
Probably stuffing. I think stuffing, especially if it's done right, if it's not too dry, if it's dry, then you got to leave it alone. But if it's nice and I like it a little bit moist and, it's load up on that, I always forget the turkey sometimes, just give me stuff.
For me, it's yams. If there's sweet yams on there, I'm like, it's over. It's done. I see that marshmallow covering on it. I'm like, I'm done. I get just give me a plate of that. Hold the corn and the gravy and that. But wait, again, where do you stand on cranberry sauce? Cranberry, where do you stand on that? Are you okay with it?
No.
No, I know. I think everybody's not okay. It looks like just a purple slime.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I don't know
who?
I was going to say, I don't know how they got introduced into the.
Right?
Mhm.
Like, how did that get in the mix? Like, who invited cranberry sauce? Like, who said, hey, come on in, cranberry sauce, be part of this holiday? I don't know. I didn't. You didn't. Who knows? But again, from all of us here at Locked On Spurs, we want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving tomorrow. Likely will not be a Locked On Spurs show for Thanksgiving, obvious reasons, but we'll be back on Friday. Quick heads up about Friday's episode. Guess what? It's merch of the month. Yes, I got my hands on a few items that you can find at the Spurs fan shop. We're going to be going over that to close out the week and then just catch up on what happened against the Lakers. You know, just catch you up on all things San Antonio Spurs. Raul, we thank you once again for hopping on Locked On Spurs every post-road game for so far. Hopefully keep your streak going around. No, they say Harrison Barnes is an Iron Man. You're an Iron Man right now in Locked On Spurs. You haven't missed a post-road game recap. So kudos to you. So your Locked On Spurs Player of the Week honors. That might say anything. It's just going to be aluminum foil, like made into a little stick.
Cranberry sauce, probably.
It is doused with cranberry sauce. Yeah, exactly. Again, follow Raul on X at Dominguez. Again, he is the AP Sports writer. We'll be back again, like I said, on Friday. So happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Make sure to subscribe to Locked On Spurs wherever you get your favorite podcast. iTunes, Spotify, Kensfi Plus app. Check out the Locked On Spurs newsletter. Link in the description below. Click on it. Completely free. Just sign up. 1, 2, 3, in and out. Nice companion piece to Locked On Spurs. So for Raul Dominguez, I am Jeff Garcia. We're going to put on lock in this episode of Locked On Spurs.
Welcome to my party, we're just getting started. A life is a dream or a nightmare scarring. Hand me a drink cause I think I'm going all in. Get me a shrink who can catch me when I'm falling. Cover up my scars, flip the handlebars, crashing in my car.